I used to work on BMWs all my life because I worked in Munich for the factory. And when I came over here from Germany in '57, I bought a BMW, and then of course I got to meet many other BMW riders, and I put a sign on their motorcycle. You want a free tune-up, see me, and then all of a sudden we made this our meeting place way back because most of our riders, they came from Glencoe, Evanston. So this was actually way back, our first meeting place, and ever since now it has become almost a mecca from Chicago, you know.
And I've seen it expand in the last 5 years, quadruple. I mean, it amazes me. Sometimes I come here and it's just so crammed with people. It's become a mecca.
Yes, I know it is.
You know, and having started when a few bikes had come up here, you'd see a few old timers come up with their bikes, but now it's like this is the place to go on Sunday morning, and it's mind-boggling.
It's a 96 CBR 900RR. It's got a Two Brothers pipe, stage 1 jet kit. It's got a Clifford alarm on it. Basically, it's other than that, it's pretty well stocked. So,
is the paint job stock?
Yeah, that's standard for the 96 year.
It's very like wild and electric looking, you know.
Well, it's different.
Now, this isn't your first bike.
No, I had a VFR 750 before this, and then bikes before that. So.
When did you start riding?
I was about 12.
About 12. What did you start on?
Dirt bikes.
Dirt bikes?
Mini bikes.
Up north near Antioch?
Yeah, lots of practice crashing them.
It's better to crash the little ones, right?
Yeah, less expensive.
So, like, just tell me about the progression of bikes that you've had over the years.
I went from the older style, laid-back cruisers, to the VFR, which was still yet an early bike, but it was more of the racing style. And then eventually just move up and up and up, and it was a good transition for me. It wasn't like jumping on a brand new bike like so many people do.
Right.
And so you got to learn a lot about riding before you get on something like this.
It's got a lot of power, a lot of pickup.
The difference between this and an older bike is immense. The horsepower alone is a lot different, and it's very quick and very aggressive. So.
Do you get to ride pretty much every day, or?
Yeah, I ride just about every day, rain or shine.
Like, rain or shine?
Yeah.
So are you always carrying your gear with you and stuff?
Yeah, it's got a large compartment in the back. You can store rain gear or a sweatshirt, and you carry your helmet and all your gloves.
I see you carry your helmet with you.
Yeah.
And you put it on your head, actually?
Yes. Yeah, I wear my helmet.
A while, I imagine.
I've been riding since the 70s, and this is the first street bike I've had. I used to race motocross and scrambles and TT.
Oh, okay. When did you decide to go from, you know, like motocross and all that to like street riding?
When I got too old to race. This is a dual-purpose bike. It's made for, they also called it a Paris to Dakar bike, to go through the trails and the desert and the hills and the rocks.
That's that very long distance cross-country trip.
Yeah. So it's got the regular Ducati engine with the no valve springs, the Desmo Dramo and Desmo Do, and it's got a 6-gallon fuel tank, and it's got 8.5 inches of suspension in front and rear, so it takes the bumps pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got a detuned engine, so it's only getting about 68 horse instead of 75 like most of them. And it's very comfortable to ride. The potholes are no problem in downtown Chicago. And
yeah.
my wife likes that.
That's great. How's the riding position for long-term riding?
It's terrible.
You're way forward on it, right?
Yeah. The standard seat that comes with it is horrible.
Yeah.
You slide forward and it's uncomfortable. You can only last for about a half an hour on it.
So how did they get to Dakar like that? You know?
They probably put different seats on.
They must have. And your wife's seating isn't that great on there
She
either,
hates
actually.
it, so we've got a Corbin seat already ordered.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
They really help a lot.
Oh, well, for sure.
Now, how do you feel like you've switched from the motocross to the road riding?
On and off road, I can go through the trails and stuff.
Because of the way this is set up and
Sure,
everything.
with the suspension.
Yeah.
And it only weighs about 450 pounds with a full tank of gas, so that's pretty light.
This only weighs 450 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Most of the Ducatis are right around 400 to 450.
I didn't realize they were so light.
Yeah.
Wow, it opens new worlds, actually.
I haven't been stopped anywhere.
Yeah. How does is your wife here?
Yes.
How do you like riding on the back of this?
It's a little uncomfortable. We're definitely going to have to get a new seat. I can only take a half hour. This trip is my max. But I enjoy it. If we had a better seat, then I'd stay on longer and a backrest.
Right, a little backrest would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's true. That's true. So y'all ride like a couple times a week?
I ride
now.
a couple times a week. She rides about once a month. So
Yeah.
I take it out to work. I work in Lisle and live downtown.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
when the weather's right, to
Yeah.
get a change from taking the train out, I'll
Sure,
ride.
absolutely.
And then on weekends, once in a while, we go for a
It
ride.
makes the commute enjoyable.
She wanted to get a scooter, and I think I talked her into getting a Ducati M900. She wants that, or I want. One of us wants
Somebody
it.
wants that bike really badly.
So I think that'll be our second bike, and I think
That's
that'll
great.
be enough.
That's great. Tell us, is this like your first bike that you've ever had?
No, actually I started with a 250 Kawasaki, was my first bike. And then I kind of moved up to a 650 and found that I couldn't stay up on two wheels too often. So I put a sidecar on that. And then I went to the 1200 Sportster.
When did you start with the 250? How long ago was that?
I started riding in 1986.
So it's 10 years of riding already.
Yeah, when I started out it wasn't, I didn't enjoy it as much because I was afraid. I took the class twice. The first time to get my knuckles from turning white. And I was afraid and I was thinking too much, so I didn't enjoy it. Once I got the sidecar, can't keep me off of it now.
Right.
I took my first long trip in June. I went with 4 other ladies. We were supposed to go down to Florida. I made it down to Mississippi, and my bike broke down. I suppose I shouldn't say that.
Oh no, bikes break down, then you put them back together again.
But for me, just going to St. Louis was a milestone because I had never gone that far. So I put on a couple thousand miles, and that was great. It was my first time on a long trip. It was my first time without my husband. So it was great.
Big accomplishment.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
Tell us about your bike, actually, and the sidecar and all that.
It's a 1200.
Come on, so we actually, because it would be nice to see the
okay.
bike a little bit better and everything.
The bike is a 92 1200 Harley Davidson Sportster. The sidecar is a Velorex sidecar. It's made in Czechoslovakia.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It only weighs about 175 pounds, so that's why you can carry it with a smaller motorcycle.
Huh.
It's made for, you could put it on a scooter
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Interesting.
And the combination of the two is great.
Yeah.
It's got it.
stability.
Yeah, and it's got enough oomph that I can keep up with everybody. Don't have to worry about uneven roads,
Right.
or gravel or anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
So
gravel,
it's great.
What would you say, to finalize, is like the thing you like the most about motorcycling?
The people.
How long have you been riding?
16 years. Spring came, and the guys are riding motorcycles. I says, boy, I'd like to get, I got to find me a boyfriend with a motorcycle. I was single. One of the guys says, you're driving these big dump trucks and snow plows and other equipment. He says, why don't you get your own bike? I says, oh, wow, what a concept. So I did. By the end of that summer, I had my motorcycle.
And what was your first bike?
Kawasaki 400.
So tell us a little bit about this bike, because it's a gorgeous bike and you have this great artwork on it. Do you ride every day? How does it relate to you and your life, all that stuff?
All right, I got a going 1500. It's my fourth bike. I wouldn't start anything this big or heavy. I love it. It's very comfortable. This is me. I mean, this bike is just, I'm so comfortable on it, and I feel so safe and everything. The artwork is clowns. That's because I'm a, part-time, full-time weekend clown.
Right. Show us some of the artwork on the bike. Who did it for you?
All right. Right. Well, you want to come over here? This is me. This is my face. Sue Van Ness did it. Sue Van Ness is from Iowa. She's a great artist, and I like the rapport of the little girl and the clown. Just the love going between them. And I says, well, I got this picture and I wanted it on my bike. And I says, but can you put my face on her? And she's, oh, no problem. So just bring a picture in. So I brought in a picture. She put on my face. And this costume's similar to what I wear. But that is my face on that clown character. And then the other clowns are just pictures, just to dress up the bike. And of course the balloons were added. This was done like 3 different years,
Right. Right. Well, yeah, there's a lot of really intricate stuff here. I mean, I can see where it's like a life work almost. What do you like best about motorcycling? You do it a lot now. I know you're involved with the women's group very heavily and all that. What is the thing that, holds you and keeps you so excited about motorcycling?
I don't know, the freedom. It's a stress reliever. I know sometimes after a hard day at work, because I ride my own, I don't have to wait for my husband to come home. I'll just sometimes take a ride and go out in the county and, get rid of the stress, get the bugs out from the day, and I'm fresh and everything, and I don't have to be nagging at him because of something that happened at work. So, I just enjoy the freedom and I get the power it gives you. You're in complete control.
How long have you been riding?
16 years. Spring came, and the guys are riding motorcycles. I says, boy, I'd like to get, I got to find me a boyfriend with a motorcycle. I was single. One of the guys says, you're driving these big dump trucks and snow plows and other equipment. He says, why don't you get your own bike? I says, oh, wow, what a concept. So I did. By the end of that summer, I had my motorcycle.
And what was your first bike?
Kawasaki 400.
So tell us a little bit about this bike, because it's a gorgeous bike and you have this great artwork on it. Do you ride every day? How does it relate to you and your life, all that stuff?
All right, I got a going 1500. It's my fourth bike. I wouldn't start anything this big or heavy. I love it. It's very comfortable. This is me. I mean, this bike is just, I'm so comfortable on it, and I feel so safe and everything. The artwork is clowns. That's because I'm a, part-time, full-time weekend clown.
Right. Show us some of the artwork on the bike. Who did it for you?
All right. Right. Well, you want to come over here? This is me. This is my face. Sue Van Ness did it. Sue Van Ness is from Iowa. She's a great artist, and I like the rapport of the little girl and the clown. Just the love going between them. And I says, well, I got this picture and I wanted it on my bike. And I says, but can you put my face on her? And she's, oh, no problem. So just bring a picture in. So I brought in a picture. She put on my face. And this costume's similar to what I wear. But that is my face on that clown character. And then the other clowns are just just pictures, just to dress up the bike. And of course the balloons were added. This was done like 3 different years.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, there's a lot of really intricate stuff here. I mean, I could see where it's like a life work almost. What do you like best about motorcycling? You do it a lot now. I know you're involved with the women's group very heavily and all that. What is the thing that, holds you and keeps you so excited about motorcycling?
I don't know, the freedom. It's a stress reliever. I know sometimes after a hard day at work, because I ride my own, I don't have to wait for my husband to come home. I'll just sometimes take a ride and go out in the county and get rid of the stress, get the bugs out from the day, and I'm fresh and everything, and I don't have to be nagging at him because of something that happened at work. So, I just enjoy the freedom and I get the power it gives you. You're in complete control.
No, this is a new 96 Harley with a fuel injection, and we just rode this back last weekend from Sturgis. We were out there for the week and got it pinstriped and had a good time, except for Saturday.
Except for Saturday?
Saturday it rained. 500 miles, Bill? 500 miles.
In the rain?
In the rain, yeah.
That is torture, I know. But how long have you been riding?
I've been riding since 1981.
It's like 16 years or so. How did you happen to start riding?
I had a bunch of friends that worked for the Lake County Forest Preserve that were into Blue Knights, and they all had bikes, so they finally twisted my arm and I got in it that way and joined the Blue Knights, and we've been biking ever since.
What kind of bike did you start on? Like, how did you sort of progress up to this bike?
Well, we started on a 1100 Yamaha Special, so we started off with a pretty big bike, put a plexi fairing on it, and then decided we liked touring, so we had a Venture Royale and a Honda Aspencade, and this is our second Harley touring bike that we've had.
Now, this is your son here?
My son Brett.
What's your name?
Brett.
Brett. Do you like riding with your dad, or
Yeah.
do you get to travel across the country with him?
No.
You haven't gone across the country yet. When do you get to ride with him the most?
Like mostly on weekends, just like to zoos or stuff like that.
Have you started riding at all yourself yet?
No.
Gonna look for a smaller bike pretty soon, or how old are you?
13.
13. So you're a little young for the license yet. But there's always dirt riding, He could be starting on that already. So you ride on the back, everything. How would you say like motorcycling fits into your daily life? Are you commuting and like doing it on a daily basis, or?
It's a big part of our life. Obviously, a Harley touring bike is a lot of money, so it's a big investment. And my wife loves to ride. This was her first trip to Sturgis this year, and she's looking for a bike of her own now, which is great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So, we're kind of shopping to see and get her started on that, and so it's a family thing. In fact, this coming weekend, I'm taking our daughter to Kentucky for 3 days. Her and I are going to go down there and have a father-daughter weekend, and we're going to go to Mammoth Cave and around Elizabethtown and in that area. So it's fun.
It's great to hear that it's like a whole family involvement, where every person can at least be involved a little bit. Kind of keeps you all together. Would you want to tell us a little bit about the bike? Show it to us a little.
Well,
do you have like you said you got a lot of the work done at Sturgis?
We had the striping done at Sturgis. A fellow out of Wisconsin was down there, and his name is Scarecrow, and that's his logo down there. And
where's that?
Right here.
Right here.
There's his little logo. He actually striped it, though they had some real good stripers down there, but we liked the eagle that we had on the front, and that's what, looking through his pictures, we thought was a little different.
Oops, sorry.
And
this is beautiful.
so we put that on, and then we just added the rest. And
that is really unusual. I haven't seen that on other bikes.
Kind of an unusual looking eagle.
Yeah.
And not your standard eagle, and we liked it enough that we did it. We have a real good pinstriper down in Louisville, but this guy was kind of unique, so while we were there we had it striped. We put the grips on,
yeah, those are gorgeous.
those with the iron braid, and that was kind of fun. And,
very nice.
But we've got quite a lot of chrome on it, and it's been, here again, my wife has been very involved with not only signing the checkbook, but picking out a few pieces of chrome. And
right.
So we've had fun putting this one together. And we got it in April, so it's just really starting to roll with that terrible spring we had. We didn't get a lot of riding in.
It was really slow.
But next year we're going to Sturgis again, and we're looking forward to that. And like I said, Kentucky this weekend, and maybe we're hoping for a real nice fall.
And fixed it all up, and then my brother-in-law and I rode it from here in Des Plaines to Pikes Peak, Colorado, up on the top and back.
We've been in almost every state riding in the last 16 years. Yeah.
Toured Europe a couple times.
Last trip I took was 2 years ago to Washington State and back, and that was a little over 6,000 miles round trip.
Then comes, of course, the Iowa Rally. This is rally. Everybody knows free beer.
Yes.
And then most of all, it's a steak dinner. But then again, it rains all the time, see? And it's a mud hole. But then again, who cares?
Back through Montana on, I think it was US 20 I came through, or US 12? 12, I think it was. So 3 days to get through that state.
And then we did a 33-day tour of Europe on the motorcycle.
September, I was on a trip down to Brown County, I think it's by Bean Blossom, Indiana.
We had both rallies also in Colorado.
Past year we went to House on the Rock for our big ride,
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
an overnighter, and some of the wives came along also.
Yeah.
And next year we're planning on going to Galena.
Moto Guzzi National Rally is going to be in Iowa, about 80 miles northwest of Dubuque next year, and I'm already looking forward to that one.
I have 2 British bikes. One of them's, well, I took one of them, I bought a 67 in about, I'm going to say 10, 12 years ago, used, and fixed it all up. And then my brother-in-law and I rode it from here in Des Plaines to Pikes Peak, Colorado, up on the top and back. This one was my dad's motorcycle. He gave it to me in about 82, I think it was. I've had it ever.
What year is it again?
This is a 1976. I'm the 3rd owner of this thing. My dad was the 2nd owner. He bought it at a place called Jack's Harley down in Effingham, Illinois.
Now your son's here with you today.
Yes, this is my son Matthew.
How you doing?
Also known as
Matt. Matt or Steve, or you can make something up. A lot of people do.
Now I know you've been riding too. I mean, not really recently, but you started riding pretty young.
Yeah, I started riding about 15, got into motocross and did some racing for a while. You know, used to cause trouble around the neighborhood and everything, so.
But are you looking forward to riding again in the future sometime?
Most definitely. I'm hoping to someday get a BSA, rebuild it like my dad does, and you know, go out riding with him.
I got one he can rebuild if he's got the money.
Would you give us like a tour of your bike, sort of telling us about the different features
well,
of it now?
The original color was just this black with a little bit of fleck in it. That's the only thing that's original paint. Original, I had planned to paint it metallic orange and black, kind of like the Harley colors from the factory. And I'd bought the orange paint, and then 2 days later I went back and got the green stuff because I saw the green and I thought, boy, that looks a lot better than that orange.
It just shines.
So if you know anybody wants to see metallic orange paint, I got a little extra. I got some. I haven't even opened the can yet. And at the time I pulled the engine out and had them took it to a place and they put a 93-inch S&S kit in it. While at the same time I stripped all the sheet metal off and took it to a place and was getting that painted. And I've put the Paco split exhaust system on it because the original, where it went together behind the rear cylinder, was I could never stop the exhaust leak, and with this fairing and stuff, I was always breathing exhaust fumes. I put before I took the trip to California about 3 years ago, I put the air shocks on the back, and that is like day and night. That's something that's a world of difference. Oh, is that a world of difference? Those air shocks compared to your normal spring shocks. And that's about the big major part. This fairing's original equipment with a little bit of road rash on each side.
Right.
This is a meeting place way back for almost, 30 years?
Yes.
And now this has become almost a meeting place for other motorcycle riders,
Yes.
you know?
It's so exciting to see every kind of bike, even the old Danish bikes and the Wizards and everything. That's
Many English bikes, of course, like we just saw at Vincent.
Yes.
AGS's Triumph. Moto Guzzi, of course, not forgetting Moto Guzzi.
No. So do tell us just a little bit about your bike.
Well, actually,
Your signature bike.
Yes. It's, like I said, it's a German racing fairing. Had a big 8.5 gallon tank, And it's a little racing seat.
8.5 gallons.
8.5 gallons.
You could go several hundred miles on that.
400 without stopping. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And then of course my wife does not ride with me anymore because there's only room for one person to sit on. And then of course I have always 2 license plates now.
Yes.
With my name on it. Actually, the Ted belongs to this bike, and the Strobel belongs to an older /2 bike. You know.
It's wonderful. Everyone knows who you are wherever you go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they also know me in my red letters. You know.
Yes.
I wear usually red letters, which matches the fairing with the German stripes.
Do you get to ride very much?
German stripes.
Do you get to ride very much? It sounds like a lot of your time is.
Well. Yes and no. I devote my time almost, I'm ashamed to say, too much working on BMWs. I do not. But then again, in the wintertime, I live in Arizona. As I'm retired now and I moved to Arizona and I live in heaven. Hi, Barbara.
Hi,
good morning.
I'm interviewing him because of you.
You should.
The smartest guy here. There you go. Barbara, it was really fun to see you on the street the other day.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
And like we were saying before, you were telling me about how long you've been riding, and it just like seemed impossible. But you started really, really young.
I started when I was 6. My very best friend in the world lived on a farm, and we would ride a little 50cc mini bike, and I think they probably built it themselves out of like a lawnmower engine.
Right.
And we would ride it through the cornfields, which was really fun when you're really little because the corn is on either side of you and you're whipping down, you know, and we would chase each other. So that's how I learned to ride motorcycles. I actually never owned my own motorcycle. It was always riding other people's bikes. My father was a biker from way back. He started on Harleys in the 50s. And as I grew up, I was always on the back of a bike, but he was afraid for me, and so would never let me own my own. But whenever we'd go somewhere where they had motorcycles, I was always on them. It was very exciting because I decided to really go for style. I love this style. I love that it's all black and it's smaller. It's only a 600cc, which I think is a really good size for me.
Exactly.
I can handle it well, and I've found somebody, Ted Strobel, which is a name I'm sure you're familiar with, to really take care of me and teach me. So whenever I go to Ted's, he teaches me about my bike and he shows me how to take care of it and gives me all the tricks of the trade. So I'm sort of learning as I go.
Show us the bike. Now this is a boxer style, right?
Right, the boxer style engine, because the pistons go inward. You can see that it's already leaking gas. Ted calls that seepage.
And you accept seepage as a way of life, evidently, so.
That's what they told me, but you know, it's my own fault. This one is really seeping because I forgot to turn the gas off when I got here. You know, all those little things that you just have to get in the habit of doing.
It all the time.
So I left the gas on after I had parked, and evidently the trick is with these old bikes to actually turn the gas off before you finish your ride, so that it works the rest of the gas out of the system so that there's nothing to seep. But I just can't imagine myself, okay, I'm coming up to where I'm going to stop. And it's manageable. I mean, I can do everything. I learned how to change the cables, I learned how to change the spark plugs, I learned how to do all that stuff, and it's just a really simple, Ted calls it a one-kick bike, because it's just got...
Kickstart?
Yeah. It's a sideways kickstart, which is really interesting. It's straight down.
Right.
So it's got to be either on the kickstand or the center stand in order to start the bike.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And usually it does start on maybe 1 or 2 kicks.
Right.
But it takes it when it's cold.
Get a lot of exercise out of that leg.
Yeah,
right?
really. But it's not that bad. I mean, I'm really surprised at how easily it does start. Like even today, I haven't ridden it since last Tuesday, and it went through that thunderstorm the other night.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, it's going to be wet and cold, and 3 tries, and
It's like German engineering. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Well, this is they're a flying brick, they call them.
Flying brick.
Flying brick. Like years ago, you used to call BSAs Beezers. And you used to call Triumphs Trumps. You know, or like Ducatis are still Dukes.
That's true, yeah.
So now these bikes by the aficionados, that's a flying brick. Because it looks like a brick in there, because the way the engine's mounted. Years ago in the 60s, I had Triumphs and BSAs and Nortons. I could sit in my garage and just start the motor and listen to it. Now that may seem a bit bizarre, but that's what I when I listen, it's like it's that gut sense of, this is a motorcycle. This is a motorcycle, nice bike, you know? But what I remember is sitting there in my dreams and starting up that Triumph when it would start, and listening to it and saying, it's music. And I suppose people today, you know, if they start out on Honda Goldwings, that's what's music to them. But my memory, the sense that draws me into enjoying it is when I hear it, it's like I want to hear this music. When I see these guys come up with their Triumphs, I just want them to start them up. Start it up. I just want to hear it sing.
And most of the frames are Schwinn.
Are they? And why is that?
Take it, Bill.
That's when they first started out, they designed the motor to go on your regular bike because everybody back then had bikes. So you could buy the motor and put it on your own bike and you'd have a motorbike.
Oh, I see.
And then later on, as they evolved, they started making complete packages where they would make a bike and a motor combination. You could buy them all together ready to run. Just put gas and oil and ready to ride.
How much, what kind of maintenance are you doing on these bikes as a general rule?
Daily.
Daily? Where do you get parts?
That's an interesting question. Almost every one of us seems to manufacture something. I manufacture an overhead valve system. Bill manufactured timing gears and push rods or tappets or whatever you want to call it.
You mean as not as your career? No, just
instead of making one, you might make 25 or 50, you know, and then we sell them to each other, you know what I mean, or give them away or whatever.
It's a cottage industry.
This way everybody can, anybody that's got a bike that needs a part, we'll trade with them and they'll give us a part that we need, you know, and it goes back and forth.
That's great.
But
it's a good system.
There are manufacturers around the country, you know, who actually manufacture fenders for, you know, but I mean, but that fender will fit a Schwinn bicycle. It'll also fit our Whizzer motorbike, and you know what I mean. So yeah, there are quite a few parts of actually being made, and then there are, in some cases like the gas tanks, there's absolutely nobody manufacturing the gas tanks. So all the gas tanks basically are original tanks from the old days.
I've had mine for 35 years. And I got parts in that motor that I've had even longer than that.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
And my original bike that's sitting at home that I've had for 35 years is in for a little repair, and then I'm going to work on it and get it back going again. But I've been playing around with these since I was about 10 years old.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's wonderful.
So it's
you grew up with it.
And when I first seen the little bike like I got at home, I wanted one, and I finally got it, and I won't part with that. That's mine.
In 1949 or 50, I was like 15 years old, and every kid in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood in Chicago, and it was a hotbed for Whizzers, but I couldn't afford one. So I had to stand on the sidewalk while all the hot shots rode by, you know, and I said, someday I'm going to have it. Now I'm starting on my fourth one.
We get together usually on once a month basis in the summertime for a ride, and we'll ride somewhere either out by Elburn, Illinois, or up in Wisconsin, and we'll go for a 15-20 mile ride, you know. And once a year we usually have a big ride, which is usually 100 miles.
Wow.
So that past year we went to House on the Rock for our big
Oh,
ride,
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
an overnighter, and some of the wives came along also.
Yeah.
And next year we're planning on going to Galena.
I love the white wall tires. Oh, that really was one passing us before. It's great. So you've restored the paint and everything, or
Yeah,
you've just kept
yeah.
it really beautiful? Yeah.
No, that's new paint.
New paint. Okay.
The whole bike is
With the
been redone.
pinstriping and everything's
Yeah.
been redone.
It's been
Very
redone.
nice.
This is my son's bike right here.
Oh, your son?
And this one's easier to start than mine. The black one behind you is mine.
Oh,
But I'll start this one up and you can listen to this one.
all right. This is a different pipe here.
This will be what they normally sound like.
It's a more mellow sound.
This is a great running bike here, this one here. If you ever wanted a whizzer, you want one exactly like this. This runs great.
I bought mine in
also?
1945.
Oh, that's amazing.
We
Is
had
it
to
here?
get a government permit to get them then because it was wartime.
It was wartime.
My
right?
dad had a defense plant, so he got the permit and I got the bike. My kids grew up on it, they all rode it, and I was going to give it away.
Yes.
But I met these fellows and saw there were more of them.
Right, right.
So,
Sounds like there's quite a few of them from what they're saying.
I think what's our roster list and number?
said about
I think
70?
we're about 70 outpatients.
Yeah.
When did you start riding motorcycles?
Well, I started riding Italian motorcycles in 1972. I bought a Laverda 750 twin, and I just fell in love with Italian motorcycles, and that led to another Laverda, and another Laverda, and another Laverda, and then I decided I'd like to have a Moto Guzzi, and this is the first one I bought. And I bought an SP, and you try this and you try that, and you just, I just became an Italian motorcycle freak.
Now, did you start, when you first started riding, did you immediately get into Italian bikes, or were you riding other?
Oh, I started with British bikes in September 1948.
Riding what, like a Norton or a Triumph?
First bike was a Triumph 500 that they called a Tiger 100. That was the very first. And then I went to a Norton 500 twin. And after I got out of the British bikes, I just got out of bikes completely until the mid-60s when I bought a BMW R69S, and I was with BMW for some years. In fact, I owned BMWs when I bought that first Laverda, but after tasting the Italian bikes, I immediately lost interest in BMWs.
The Germans were left behind. Huh?
The Germans got left out.
What did you like about the Laverda?
It's just the handling. In '72, the Japanese bikes hadn't really come into their own. Oh, sure, they were still fast, but the handling left a lot to be desired. Then you get on an Italian bike and you get up into Wisconsin or Michigan somewhere, and as a rule they had Dunlop tires. I think they called them KT100s at that time.
Yes.
And bikes were so controllable when you pushed them in corners. In fact, I found it so exhilarating to have one of those things drifting in a corner. That was the first time I ever owned a motorcycle that I felt totally confident drifting in corners.
Amazing. It was the handling of the bike.
Oh yes, and the character. Nobody builds character into vehicles like the Italians. In appearance, the bike is 100% stock in appearance outside of the K&N carburetor air filters. But when I had about 5,000 miles on this bike, I seized the engine because I didn't screw the oil filter in the sump on tight enough, and I seized the main bearing in the engine. Well, okay, because the engine had to be completely torn down, when I rebuilt it, I put in the timing gears, I put in electronic ignition, we rebuilt the heads, heavier valve springs, just did a number of things that has added quite a bit to the performance of the bike. Maybe not so much in the low end or off the line, but you can really feel it when you're cheating on the double nickel.
You took the whole engine apart and rebuilt, cleaned out the carbs, and did what else?
Everything. I had a little leak in the corner, and they come out with a new gasket. It's a steel gasket instead of a fiber, and much better.
Yeah, it's not leaking now?
No. No.
You know, you always hear about the Harleys and their famous leaks.
They used to, when AMF used to run them, they were famous for leaks, but now, no. That's what they call a brandy candy wine. It's a custom color from Harley Davidson, my buddy Ernie here, he's the one that pinstriped it.
Oh, really?
For me.
Nice.
And,
very nice work. I like that.
Yeah, he just did that a couple weeks ago. He just did that.
Now, before you had this one, did you have another Harley before that, or did you have other bikes in
I
general?
started out at 16 with a Honda and worked my way up to a Harley.
Yeah?
That's the way it goes.
Okay, when you were 16, what kind of Honda did you have?
Goldwing.
A Goldwing right away?
Goldwing, yeah. Right when they came out, I bought one, yeah. Right, but at that time now, that was 75, and that's when Harley had a bad name because of all the leaks and all that, you know. So I went to a Honda, and then when Harley bought the company back, then that's when I started thinking about buying a Harley.
How is it you know how to do all this work on your bike?
Have my buddy there that knows a lot.
Whoops.
We got another friend here. His name is Drago, and that's what he does on his spare time. He's actually a machinist, but he knows inside and out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he can take it apart, blindfold it, and put it back together again. So we work with him, and he teaches us how to do. So in a way, we're kind of lucky to have a friend like that. So last winter we tore it apart, and it cost me $450 to rebuild it.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you re-chrome any of this?
No, that's all stock.
All stock?
It's all stock.
That's
yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I'm a firm believer. You leave it stock, it's worth more money.
Live in Antioch.
In Antioch, so you come down here for this.
Hey, my name is Shirley Surek. I'm from Burlington, Wisconsin. I am the Wisconsin State Director for Women on Wheels.
My name is Bob Jeckling, and I live in River City.
So Peggy, where are you from actually?
Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah, my name is Larry Buchanan, and we live in Winthrop Harbor, Illinois.
Oh, my name is Anthony Verschure. That was a tough question.
I know you have to
yeah,
about it
the
for a
rest of them are
while.
going to be simpler, right? My name is Anthony Verschure, and I live in Skokie.
Oh, in Skokie, okay.
My name is Bill Harmon. I live in Morton Grove.
I'm Don Peterson, and I'm from Skokie.
My name is Barbara Dolan. I'm originally from Minneapolis, and I live in downtown Chicago right now.
My name is Carl with a C, Scandinavian type Carl.
Yes.
Last name is Lindell, Lindell, and I live in the northwest side of Chicago.
Dick Pagels, and I'm from Palos Park.
My name's Stephen Curtis. I live in Des Plaines, Illinois.